The distance that an attacker would require to the distance that you want them to have are two totally different things. Most people feel comfortable working within what's classed as their own personal space. This is mainly along the lines of handshake distance from here. This is an engagement distance which people will try and get inside of. Most people feel comfortable handling and dealing with people at this level. As soon as somebody steps inside that, even from somebody who is comfortable with the presence of another person, it is not a comfortable position to feel in, and people will feel instinctively to want to step away from that. A large part of somebody covering the distance is going to be down to the verbal engagement which they use. They try to reduce your mental awareness and your mental guard and disguise what their intentions are. You've got to be able to close the distance. Most people will not just walk up straight up to somebody and attack from here. There will be some forms of dialogue. As you've seen in the fight scene at the beginning of the tape, there was dialogue to lead the person and close the distance up. The way to diffuse this and control it on a non-aggressive level is the application of a fence. This must be of a submissive gesture. It cannot be aggressive by any means. The difference between the hands as such and the hands as such relay two different messages to the person who's confronting you. Another good point with the fence is there an obstacle. Should the person decide they want to try and maintain a grip or a hold of you, they've got to negotiate this first. So the distance can be controlled to a large degree by the use of the hands. So if Richard steps forward to try and get a hand to me, I can control stepping away. Hands out as an obstacle, something the person's got to negotiate. Also, I can use the fence to sense the person's intentions. If as Richard moves forward, I gently touch against him and he resists and pushes forward from that, that relays intent. That gives me the signal that this person wants inside my personal space. They want to be closer because they've got intentions of a bad nature. So I need to be controlling this. So if Richard moves forward and I just touch him and he stays away, I can control the distance and carry on a conversation level. If the person moves forward and they ignore that and they push forward further, I know from that signal that I've got more serious intentions facing me. So I can deal with that on more of a physical level. It's also effective for the use of line-ups, submissive line-up. I can set the person up who I'm facing. Once I've controlled them and got the distance for me to preemptively strike, whatever that may be, which I'm covering later in the tape. The dialogue also plays a large part of what you're doing. Many people are sucked in by the conversation which somebody will hold with them. They disguise their intentions very, very well. Muggers in particular will not come up and announce to you that they're going to mug you. They'll ask you a totally innocent question and take the situation from there, closing in all the time, building the space up, again, as was demonstrated in the video. An attacker will always try and control the victim. This can be done on two levels, non-aggressive and aggressive. On a non-aggressive level, an attacker will use the tactics of trying to control the person, herding them, if you like, or crowding them. As a person tries to move away, if Richard tries to step past me, just an arm across the chest. It's a non-aggressive expression, but it says a lot and it achieves a lot from the attacker's point of view. Another tactic which will be employed is guiding or holding, just gently holding on to somebody, whether it be the collar, the shoulder. They're just trying to control the movement and even use it to position somebody up for an attack, take somebody on for a blind shot. The dialogue which is applied at the same time as before is going to play a crucial part. The person will totally disguise everything they're doing all the way through. For an example, getting in, closing the distance, the controlling from here, dissuasive dialogue. How you doing, mate? I want to go, just walk over here. Bringing the person on to a punch or the possibility to get behind, to initiate an attack from the rear. A victim's perspective on this will play a major factor. They've got to be aware of what's happening. If they do not feel comfortable with this situation, they've got to go with this group instinct, with the way that they feel about it, and not let somebody dominate or control the movement or the positioning. The next stage is aggressive control. This takes on a more forceful manner. Somebody will, instead of just gently guiding and touching, they'll physically grip or hold, whether it's grips to the arm, head, clothing. The whole point is to restrict somebody's movement and again set up for the positioning. An antagonist will inspire capitulation by their aggressive mannerism, the way that they will perform, by getting in, give me money, this sort of thing is going to give an effect. The physical is going to kick the chemical concoction off again for the adrenaline, the sick feeling, the negative thought is all tricked in again at this point. The dialogue again will be of an aggressive nature. People will not come along just nice and calmly, can you give me your money please? Not unless they're holding a knife or a gun. If they're going to do it on a physical level using the hands, it will be a lot more aggressive. Give me money! Along them lines. It gives an effect. The person on the receiving end is going to be thrown into shock by that sort of application. When an attack occurs, the confrontation is built up on a priming ritual. An attacker will not sit and plan this in great detail. They will just go with the flow of the situation as it develops, using the dissuasive dialogue. All the time they're trying to establish what level of vulnerability the person they're facing holds. If the person gives the impression that they're scared or intimidated, it may influence the attacker to escalate the situation quicker or slower, depending on what they're hoping to achieve. As far as being defensive is concerned, one of the major things you've got to do from a victim's point of view is draw the attacker into a false sense of security. You do not want to catch them where the peak of their build-up. They're expecting some form of physical reaction. Give them the impression that they've got what they want, that you're capitulating totally to their demands. That way you're helping control the atmosphere, which is going to play a major part in assisting you in dealing with the situation at hand. An attacker, taken from an unsolicited attack point of view, will initiate the attack something along the lines of, what the hell are you looking at? What are you staring at? Something along them lines. From there, if you've controlled the situation correctly, you're controlling the atmosphere, the dialogue and the distance, it will afford you the possibility to employ a very strong preemptive technique to hopefully put the situation to rest very, very quickly. So, Richard taking the part of an attacker, first of all, he's got to look at closing distance. As we are here, this is not comfortable. This is not a distance that I would like to have. So I would want the attack, step back, to start from here. This way, I'm aware of this person approaching, so I can take the situation now and control it from the beginning. So it comes in. First element, controlling the distance straight away. I want to keep the person back. At the same time, setting myself in a position to apply whichever preemptive strike I've already got in mind. It's no good waiting to the person to get in your face and then try and decide which technique you're going to apply to end the situation there. Step back, in, control, keeping the person away. Well, you've been staring at. I'm not staring at no, mate. Don't want no trouble. Don't want no trouble. As you saw from there, I'm allowing the person to come, controlling the distance, replying to the dialogue, and reacting as I reply. There's no good me controlling this distance here and hitting straight away, because even though the person may be confident in their attack, there's still that little bit of doubt as to what reaction they're going to get once they've initiated the attack. There's always a possibility that the person may attack. I want to use the same sort of tactics that the attacker's using, by dropping the mental guard, giving the impression that they've either got what they want or asking them a disarming question in reply. The sort of lineups and the defensive actions that you're going to use preemptively are down to your own desire, really. You're going to use what is comfortable for you. What I'm trying to say is you must demonstrate these techniques and work them so they're perfect for you. Don't try and do a technique which is fanciful or doesn't feel comfortable for you to apply. You must apply techniques which are comfortable. Keep them basic. They can be done on many a line. From a punch, from here, either hand, same sort of thing, distance control, headbutt, driving in with head to knock the person unconscious. If you're only option, or the only way, the thing that you want to do is to escape something from there, good strong push, get the person away, you've got the opportunity to escape. You've also got the possibility or the option of applying from a control situation here. If Richard's got an attacking arm up in a threatening way, driving in and taking a leg away. That's going to immobilise a person's motor units. They're not going to be able to chase. So taking something like that out, the best form of restraint or the best form of dealing with any physical confrontation is to get an unconscious result as far as the attack is concerned. Not on the victim, you're going to get beat to a pulp. You've got to take the person out sufficiently where they're not in a position or have the ability to continue.